fine toke of marijuana, because I'm Marijuana Man. And welcome to the show. This is From Under the Influence. And we're here in Vancouver, joined by Vicky.
Hello.
Today.
Hey, Vancouver.
We're high atop Cannabis Culture headquarters here and in the studio again this week. So I'm glad you all tuned in. And welcome to the proceedings. Regular old winter's day here in Vancouver.
That turned into a slightly snowy, then rainy day.
Yeah. Winter here.
Regular
is like
old
still
winter's
2 degrees.
day.
Maybe a little bit of snow.
Like a little hint is like light confetti from the sky that didn't even do anything. Just dried up right away.
So, to any and all of those who are out there in a fucking deep freeze somewhere in the rest of the world, our sympathies are with you. It's not for me. Well,
Get your wood stoves out, get stoned.
so you know what it means when Vicky's here. We gonna smoke a lot of weed.
Seems to happen every time
Yeah.
we're near each other.
Yeah, I think the last time you were here, we smoked 15 joints. We gonna smoke a lot of weed.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I thought that was pretty good.
Sometimes who
Amount
counts,
of
but
weed.
I guess
Well, we did.
counted that day.
Because the ashtray was empty when we started, and I think last week Alec was here and we smoked 12, just by accident. Yes, we like to smoke marijuana.
It's incredible. We got abundance, and that's the way it should be out there in the world.
Yes, we've been fortunate for a long time here in and around the cannabis culture that there's generally some weed to smoke. And it's the best place, too, that if you ever leave your weed here, it'll still be here when you come back. Nobody will touch it. One time years ago, we got raided by the police. And it was at the very just moments after our weed dealer left. We had all stocked up individually. And then we got raided and kicked out of the building. And we were then out on the street demonstrating against the police being in our store for all these hours. And then finally they let us back in. And throughout the building, you could hear staff members going, "Whoa, my weed's still here. Yeah, my weed's still here." Everybody, they didn't take anybody's weed, even if it was laying on the fucking counter. Yeah, crazy times, but good, safe place to leave your weed if you ever want to. And a lot of people do. Customers, too, throughout the years have left weed and come back, and you go, "Oh, yeah, it's right there."
Sometimes I just stash weed randomly in the lounge and see if anyone ever gets it. I put a really nice nug in the piano chair. And then one of the jam night people were like, "Oh my god, look what I just found in the piano chair." Like, oh, I just stuck that there like a month ago.
That's hilarious.
Smoke it.
You might as who has more fun with their stuff than cannabis consumers? Like, really, we've had a lot of years to I don't know what we've been doing. Pretty much anything we want under prohibition, right? So a lot of things are developed in practices, and a lot of it is based in fun. So much paraphernalia.
Why not?
And yes, it's true. That's the way it should be. That's why I consume it. It makes me feel good. Huh. Shouldn't that be enough? I ask you. I ask you. The world makes me askew. but I try not to pay too much attention to it. But here's the thing. Canopy Growth announced that they are having an affiliation. That's what they call it. The kids are calling it these days. An affiliation with Martha Stewart.
Martha. What's cooking with Martha?
Really, like. It's a good thing. Now, here's the thing that Canopy Growth is not allowed to use celebrities to promote its products. But apparently, you're allowed to hire one and use that person's image in an announcement that you are going to have an affiliation. So, like, why would anyone care if it wasn't the celebrity Martha Stewart? No one would care if Margaret O'Houlihan was now affiliated with, because she's a good cook. Right? Same with Snoop Dogg when they announced their affiliation with Snoop Dogg, which has made no difference whatsoever. Like, it has played no role in Snoop Dogg or Canopy Growth since the announcement. Nothing more has transpired. Right? Because you can't use it. So why would any company hire a celebrity when they can't use the celebrity to celebrate their products? Or is it just going to be a horrible fucking break every rule you can kind of thing with Martha? She's the one to do it too. Eh? Jailbird. Eh? She's a fucking former convicted felon. Not a former convicted felon. But, oh yeah, so she's got cred with nothing. Her and Snoop did a cooking show together.
Oh, yeah.
Which had nothing to do with cannabis whatsoever. Right?
Snoop's always high, though.
Nothing.
For sure.
No reference to cannabis throughout the show, ever. I'm not sure why they needed Snoop. Right? But, yeah, Martha. So, it'd be... all you got to do is infuse cannabis in an oil or in some butter, and you can bake everything on the fucking planet. So it doesn't matter. You don't need Martha Stewart. You just need to cook some cannabis in butter and or some sort of oil for a short time. And substitute that for the oils in your recipes and the butters in your life.
Like baked and baking at my own house and pretend I'm on my own TV show. Like,
There's no secret to it. All right? Beyond that, there is no secret to it. No matter what Martha Stewart is going to make, she's going to do that. She's going to have infused fucking... Otherwise, you got big chunks of weed in your cookies. Come on. Still works. Ate many of those in my life. Brownies, too. Nobody knew. They just threw it all in with the fucking batter, and off you went. You weren't missing anything. So, just pick and stalk out of your teeth. Speaking.
I wish they were like just smoking joints throughout the time that they were baking, or like eating the edibles afterwards and like experiencing, whoa, this is what I'm feeling from these edibles that we just made. Feels really good. Really easy to make too. And I grew my own pot. Like that should be the theme of the show. Yeah. Grew my own pot.
Yeah. Speaking of making edibles, Vicky has, in honor of Martha Stewart, done a little baking, if you will, on her own, and has created this wonderful thing. It is a
croissant.
croissant bong.
Croissant bone. So I'm gonna get it and see how that goes. Let's see if it goes.
Yes, the French have
going.
done this for years. They will put a croissant on anything.
Smoke out of it and then eat it.
Yeah, you don't be passing that around. You won't get it back.
Oh,
You get
no,
it back with
you're
a
gonna
bite
just
out of it.
eat this afterward.
But it is a beautiful thing, and there you go, Martha. There's an idea for your affiliation. She's going to develop food for people and dogs, pets. Martha Stewart is going to consult on making the pet line.
You should get the info from the dogs on what they're feeling. Interview with the dogs. Oh, man. How's that cookie feeling?
Yeah, start
Have like a
interviewing.
voiceover.
Start interviewing former drug sniffing dogs. They're out of work now. Look, dude, it was just a job. I had a family to feed. I was just following rules. Sorry. They'd drive you fucking nuts, those dogs. Every time looking at you really sheepishly.
Where were you? Where were you?
Sorry about that. But I know where your weed is. Your weed's right over there. Weed's right over there. Weed's right over there.
And
Arr.
the dogs probably do need to chill out. Hey man,
So-
the weed's over there. Let me have a cookie.
There's people in the chat.
Hey, people in the chat. Hope you're getting high out there and have enough weed.
Professor
Start
Ziggy.
growing.
Yeah, Martha Stewart went to jail for lying about selling stocks or something.
Oh, yes.
Stock fraud. So it's kind of the same now at Canopy Growth, eh? Stock fraud. You just spell stock differently. So who cares that Martha Stewart is involved with them? They don't have any weed. They still don't have any weed.
That's why we all got to start growing our own.
So here's another thing about in terms of endorsement and licensed producers, Canopy Growth and some extract company, I think it's probably one of their subdivisions called Halo, were found to be sponsoring and promoting themselves as sponsors of a public event, which turned out to be a children's charity event. They turned up as sponsors of that using their logos, which Health Canada now is going, no, you can't be doing that.
Why not? Like, fuck.
Well, exactly, but still, it's one of the rules. Oddly enough, Bill Blair, who was the head of the task force and all-around cop, he happened to be the honorary chairman of this children's fund.
Wow.
Huh. What a coincidence. Like, really? Really? I can appreciate that Canopy Growth and Halo would like to donate money to a children's event fundraiser, but out of all of the potential ones that they could have connected to was fucking involved with Bill Blair? How the fuck does that work? Now, this event has since taken down their logos and doesn't say they're involved with them anymore. But, wow. Like, holy cow.
That's crazy.
It's just fucked up in every direction. Right?
They're all trying to get a cut of it all, and
Holy
it'd
cow.
be fair if we were able to, too,
But
and not get incarcerated.
who in their right mind, quite frankly, said, hey, let's sponsor a children's event. Right? They instantly, the very first fucking thing they did was then, Vicky's got so many joints going here and I'm holding them all.
I already rolled 2 other joints.
Yeah. But the very first thing that they've done now is involve themselves with fucking children, in a way. Like, how stupid is that? I'd never do that. You go, well, how many meetings did they have? And nobody said, you know, this is Cannabis and Children Association now, instantly.
Yeah, more bold. Like, this
Like, how fucking stupid are they?
children that need cannabis.
I don't know. They just seem like they've just got so much resources, so much money to work with that they can kind of do whatever they want, and they're like some idiot with too much money doing whatever they want. Doesn't really make any sense what they do. Doesn't make any sense to hire Snoop Dogg and then never be able to fucking use him again. What's the point? Or Martha Stewart, what's the point? Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. Oh, she's going to make nice dog biscuits. And put butter and oil in every fucking thing that she can think of for you. Like, really? So, I don't think she's going to be throwing on an apron making any cookies for anybody.
Full hand baked.
Right? Like, I don't get it. It's just, we can do it, so we will, and they'll take the money. Anybody will take the money. Interesting. So, we'll see if anything comes of any of that. Right? Can't imagine.
Yeah. Everyone should just have the right to just make their own edibles and sell it.
Huh?
Really.
That's
like,
what
that
we
should be the
figure.
reality. Since we're growing our own, why can't we be a part of this game that they're building up? Isolated only for them. And this plant is more giving than that.
Wow, we're just mired in rules here. The rules, 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 rules. That's all it is fucking rules. And it's all designed to suck money out of your pocket. Every rule costs you money. And that's how it goes. And they build departments based on the money that they get from that rule. And they're really happy to make new rules because you get more money. Right? Like, it's fucked up from in Canada, that's for sure. It's just heaped in fucking rules and nonsense, right? So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to... They won't let you bake a fucking cookie for somebody and sell it to them. Like, so...
We can do that at a farmer's market.
Yeah, you can do that at fucking church picnics and fucking all sorts of places. The Girl Guides do it. Little children. But no, not cannabis.
Right, and the fact that there's alcohol in chocolates that you can easily get at a grocery store, that says a lot, that they just want that affiliation to be brought into the system at a young age that it's okay to drink. Kids are automatically going to want to drink. And that's way more dangerous than smoking a joint or teaching your child that it's okay to use cannabis. 'Cause it's not going to affect you the way that they perceive it in the government's eyes.
It's very difficult for the alcohol consuming public to admit to the dangers that they're subjecting themselves and the rest of us to when they consume it. It has been such a common given thing for all so very long and celebrated so much along the way that alcohol is just deeply, deeply ingrained in our society. Ingrained.
And cannabis has been
Pun
used,
intended? No, it wasn't, but it's a pun nonetheless.
right?
But yeah, it's there, it's out there, it's everywhere.
Its acceptance of other cultures have been using it for thousands of years already.
But that's been our difficulty with cannabis, is that by making the comparison to alcohol, nobody wants to go there. Right? They don't want to go, yeah, we know it's safer than alcohol, because they don't want to admit that alcohol isn't safe. Like, really? Come on. It's like 420. The biggest complaint, among all the complaints, but the biggest complaint is that we're smoking on Sunset Beach. You're not allowed to smoke.
What about the fireworks and all that fucking
Oh,
pollution?
No, they won't talk about that. Right? Because there's no smoking. They just fucking hang on to that the whole time, right? Like, it's just so silly. Like, the whole 420 issue, as there always is a fucking issue, first of all, they say, well, you know, marijuana's legal. Why are you still protesting? That's the way they say it, too, all haggard. And
Because they're not playing out in the park. Like, those parks are empty. Every other day.
We actually went down there yesterday to measure stuff up for the stage and backstage area. There was nobody there. There's nobody uses that little knoll of grass that we fucking take up for one day of the year. For God's sakes. They say, oh, marijuana's legal. I'm going, well, here's the reason I'm protesting, is because marijuana's legal and you still won't fucking acknowledge us.
Yeah, we're using
You
our
won't
spaces
work with us
that
in
we're
any
paying for.
way. If the Parks Board can ban smoking in the park, they can excuse it for one day. Why could they not do that? What's wrong with that? The very same people who will not excuse smoking for one day are now advancing the idea that you should be able to drink alcohol on the beach.
Meanwhile, they have like little beer gardens
really?
there throughout the summertime. Like,
Oh yeah, there's
all throughout the
booze
summer.
festivals all the time. In June, there's a week-long craft beer festival goes on.
there's people just drinking on the beach. Like,
And I don't really care, but like, really? See, this is why I protest, is because you won't fucking relax your stupid no smoking rule for one day for us. Maybe 100,000 people show up to this fucking thing. Is it not apparent to you that there's a segment of society here that actually cares and likes this? What about that? Why will you not acknowledge the fact that we're there? We like this. We know what we're talking about. And you won't fucking listen. Cannabis is legal. You should be approaching us with a fucking permit, and it would go down exactly the same way as it's going to go down, beyond us having a permit, for God's sakes. Give us a permit. But they won't. They've already sat down under the legalization of cannabis and have banned us next year. Ahead of time.
and when it comes to
Right?
permits on unceded territory, it's like, excuse me, what are you
There's
trying to
another
permit
issue.
right now when this land technically isn't your government? It should be brought back to government of the native people here, of this community. And that's something that needs to be brought to City Hall. There's never been any Indigenous person in City Hall, on council, or as mayor. And that's
No representation
fucked.
whatsoever.
Never.
Oh no, it's the same and way, way worse. It's the worst thing going on. They won't fucking acknowledge anything. Just take advantage.
So
Yeah, I don't know.
they don't really give a shit about anyone.
No, they don't.
that they're just
I'm not too
manipulating
sure
it
why.
for their own gain.
They don't acknowledge why we've been doing this all these years. Well, what the fuck do you think we've been doing out here? Except asking for you and the rest of the world to give us some fucking right to consume this plant that doesn't hurt us. Huh. What a weird thing. What a fucking horrible thing to ask for. We are going to smash you for saying and doing that. Holy cow. Nonsense. Now they're also beaking about the astronomical cost to the city for 420 is $300,000, the city councilor said.
For what? $300,000 for what?
We pay for everything that we're billed, and with the exception of the policing, we don't like to pay for the policing because they
don't need to be there.
Way over police, right? They send so many cops now. It's
like,
just
come smoke a joint with us.
Unbelievable. They I forget. I think it was something like a $45,000 bill on the from the city for policing at the art gallery on 420.
What?
Which had nothing to do with us whatsoever. In fact, we were over there letting people know that it was going on at Sunset Beach.
We could have like paid someone's livelihood for like 3 people for like a year of livelihood.
$45,000 they want.
Rather than paying for the police.
The police have figured out that this is a way to suck money out of the system. And nothing more. That's it, that's all. Oh my God. They used to send 2 to the art gallery. A couple of cops would show up on bicycles. And then later on in the day, because the crowd tended to swell out onto Georgia Street, they sent a few more to handle that. That was it. That was all. Nobody got a bill for anything. Now, they send just huge numbers of police and all the gear and fucking blah, blah, blah. So does every other department. As much money as they can take advantage of. Which we paid for it all. So, except for the police and this, they also wanted us to pay $5,000 because that's the price of a permit. They didn't get $5,000 from us because we didn't have a permit. Right? And they refused us a permit.
Well, we're bringing like hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of revenue to all the other businesses in the city. Hotels are booked, you know, restaurants are packed for like the weekend. Yeah. I don't know, like an aquarium, get stoned.
Yeah. Well, we were down at the art gallery for many years, and 2 mixed reviews by the neighbors. The Hotel Georgia across the street, they would always rent us rooms, and one year they actually sent their staff out into the crowd with trays of chocolates. Whoa. Not infused, and no croissant bongs.
No.
But no, they actually participated and had a little bit of fun with it, and took it as an opportunity to promote their hotel, which makes sense. That's one amazing. Year, they shut down the mall. We shut down the mall across the street. And they can't handle the smoke getting into the mall.
What the fuck?
Oh, yeah. Insane people. So,
just lost out on a bunch of people going to the food court there.
Poor little marijuana, just because it smells a little bit. Oh my God, how much flack you take for that. All right, I don't like the smell.
I don't like the smell of a lot of things out there in this world.
Yeah,
Exhaust.
me either.
Exhaust fumes, perfume, weird smells.
Fireworks, huge amounts of really toxic shit going up in the air with these fireworks, as it turns out, and lingers for quite some time, falling on the children watching with delight on the beach. Huh.
Keep in mind we just have like a shit ton of cars in the lower mainland, and there's traffic everywhere that just like pumping out so much exhaust. And then all these buildings are pumping out exhaust, and all the industrial sites pumping out exhaust.
But you can't smoke in the park. See, this is lazy bureaucrats on the parks board going, hey, we don't want to do any work. Let's ban stuff. If you ban things, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do any work or any thinking as to how can we accommodate this for people who obviously smoke. It's such a thing that you went so far as to ban it. Why would you not put the same effort into having it somehow available for those people who do smoke? What the fuck? You buy cigarettes at every fucking corner store. I'm sure the city and the province get a cut on the taxes that are charged on these things astronomically. Right? And yet, you cannot, outside, smoke a cigarette in certain places. Now, why isn't it possible to figure out some sort of method of having a place where people can actually go have a fucking smoke near the beach? Right? But no, we ban it. And then use that stupid logic and approach that does not include everyone in society and apply it against cannabis. We'll ban that too because we can use the smoking thing to ban it. Right? So we don't have to do anything. But they couldn't say, hey, yeah, for this one day, you can smoke on the beach. Why couldn't they do that under legalization of cannabis?
What? Fuck.
But no, they wouldn't do that. And what's wrong
Really?
with doing that? Why wouldn't that be your approach as people who might fucking take a clue from the idea that tens of thousands of people show up to this? That they're interested. They're part of the people who live in your community and don't hurt anyone in the process. Not once in the whole process.
Yeah, it's like you might as well just let it be open and then teach people how to smoke safely and not light shit on fire by just tossing their smoke somewhere because they're like having to sketch out in some alley and then they toss it into, I don't know, a cardboard box that lights on fire. Maybe that won't happen, but rather than like smoking at home where we should be able to, you know, and not having to worry about going to a lounge or like smoking out in public, we could have little receptacles where we can stick things, you know, where we should have for cigarettes and cigarette butts. Yeah.
Well, there's cigarette butts all over the sidewalk because they give the cigarette smoker no place to put them.
So there's butts everywhere.
So it seems fairly obvious, since there's lots of them on the ground, that there must be a number of people who put them there. That's a lot. You think it's a lot because look at it. But they don't go, hey, we should give them an ashtray and use our tax-paying dollars to fucking maintain and empty those instead of the waste of other shit that it should do.
Yeah, just have like more garbage cans and lit up little stations where you put your butts for whatever.
And cannabis, for my whole life, has been used as this opportunity to go, no, because it was illegal, right? Everybody could rest on that. Oh, it's illegal. Now, They treat it exactly the same way, even though it's legal. And you go, wait a second, what happened here? How come there's no fun in this? Where'd that go? How come we don't get to have any fucking fun with it? I don't understand this logic of our politicians and how they could possibly ignore. See, I don't know. Why do you think we've been doing this? This is 25 years, 25th anniversary of fucking 420 in this city. And they don't understand why we're doing it. Because they never fucking came and listened. Never came and asked. Never. Right? They just they hate us. And we're going, well, we don't know what the fuck to do here. No one would listen. Nobody would listen. Not our politicians, not our courts. No one would listen. Yet, all of these people came and gathered and asked them to listen, and they wouldn't. No one ever came. Not a mayor, not a politician. Libby Davies, one time. Bless her heart, and maybe we'll see her again. But they, by and large, just ignored us. And what an interesting thing that this is how they choose to operate, is just to ignore anybody they want to. Or everyone, to make it fair. Oh, they're a fair government. They ignore everyone.
That's the fairest part about them.
Well, I don't know. At the city level, you haven't been elected to fucking ignore us. Like, come on.
Yeah, you're working for us. What the fuck is... People need to clue into that. It's like, we're millions to their one.
No smoking. And okay, there's a lot of smoke, but you guys asked for it. Like, really? The city asked for it by ignoring us all these years. Really? Like, it's not our fault. We probably would have stopped had we got to play.
You can't stop the flow, though.
So we continue to be stigmatized like fucking children. And that's not good. So, yeah, there's a reason for us to be still doing this. And it can't be stopped now to some degree. Could only be downsized chaos if we stop doing this. So we actually go down there and design stuff and put stuff and plan it and help make it safe and somehow not chaotic, which it's never been, oddly enough. We seem to know what the fuck we're doing. So, right? Even though we're committing heinous crimes of smoking on the beach.
It's the truest market out there, because everyone has their own idea of what they want to bring to the cannabis community. Like, this is their shop, they have their packaging, like their cool name, their signage, their whole thing of what cannabis brought them into wanting to sell at 420 is
and
amazing.
Our point with that, the farmer's market, was to show how simple this can be in our world. It's not a dangerous thing in any way. It is as simple as we make it at 420. How did you miss that? Oh, yeah. You forgot to come. Forgot to ask. Thanks. All right. They wonder why we protest. So, I think our local government can do way better in terms of coming to terms with cannabis here in in the world, for God's sakes. They have to ignore the simple fact that it's not harming anyone. They have to ignore that to do any of the things that they're doing. To do any one of the things that they're doing, they have to ignore that this doesn't hurt you. What the fuck is that? Nobody pays you to do that.
Yeah, their propaganda advertisements that have been around the city too is just obscene. It's like, how can you just say cannabis is negative by a bus station like that when it's legalized?
Oh yeah.
And that's just
They
slander.
ramped up fucking reefer madness at the same time. Because they could. Because they get money. They got a bunch of money to do it. Costs money to put those at the bus depot. Right? Somebody gets paid all the way down. That money came from the taxpayer to do that. So this is what the government's been doing with cannabis since God knows when. Since they came up with the idea of legalization. How do we get as much money as we can out of this? In every which way we can. We will just fucking ravage the taxpayer. And that's what they've done. And then, what? Rewarded Martha Stewart. Her and Snoop had a cook show together. A cook show. So what? I watched an episode, and that's what I said. So what? They didn't even mention weed. Had nothing to do with weed whatsoever. But didn't they play that up hard with Snoop being in it?
Right?
Right? And he knew nothing about cooking. So what the fuck they need Snoop for? Barely need Martha Stewart, for God's sakes. It's just a different kind of cookie, for God's sakes.
Right. They should come on the show and then smoke with you and then cook something.
But here, didn't see them scooping up watermelon.
Right.
Right? No, I don't know.
She should have been in
what
there.
What do I know about anything? But still.
She actually talks about the effects and
Probably the most famous Canadian infused baker there is yet. Didn't want to go with her. Went to the United States to get Martha Stewart. Went to the United States to get Snoop Dogg. Right? No. So what's in it for Canada? Where's the Canadian content there? Doesn't matter. You can't use the celebrity again. Oops. It's like buying Tokyo Smoke, for God's sakes. Ain't worth nothing again. But, you got to blow the money somewhere. Let's get Snoop Dogg. Doesn't matter what it costs. Let's get Martha Stewart. Doesn't matter what it costs. So you do. But interesting.
Yeah. Well, I hope Watermelon gets her show out there.
Well, if anyone should. No, it's just kind of silliness out there in the cannabis news, really.
Just with any news in real life, it's mocked up.
The news was yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I'm stoked for 420. It should be.
It's going to be way fun. I love it.
It's cool.
Just,
With or without Martha Stewart.
yeah, no matter what, it's going to fucking
Martha's
happen.
welcome to be there.
Yeah. One day.
It's truly been a lot of fun all these years to do that. And I've learned lots of stuff along the way. But I just have a blast. It's just the flow that we get into for the day, and it works out, right? Because we're in the flow. And it's never a panic, and doesn't have to be. Everybody gets along, and it just fucking rolls. And tens of thousands of people show up, and there's going to be a lot this year. It's a long weekend on a Saturday, and
Oh yeah, people are gonna be at the beach.
we got some big time fucking people coming to play. So it's going to be massive. You know, standing there yesterday, the place is empty. Nothing. There's one pulling it out, for God's sakes. Just standing there yanking grass out.
That's
They
the
should've been
hilarious
down
thing is
there. You
like,
didn't have no permit to do it.
that's the thing, like nobody uses the parks very often, and then we generate people being like, whoa, this park exists? Whoa, this is incredible. Like, we should come here more often. Like, people are playing frisbee, having little barbecues, chilling out by the beach, and like, enjoying this space that we're fucking paying for.
Don't go outside in Vancouver unless you fit in. Like, what the fuck? Like, really? Come on. It's the beach. Like, really? How offended do people actually fucking get over anything at the beach? Come on. Really? Where's the limit to how much I can be offended by somebody else, for fuck's sakes? I live in a metropolitan area with a couple million other people and not many beaches. So you got to kind of put up with a bit of stuff, don't you? Like, how bad could it possibly be? Like, really? One time I was at the beach not too long ago, and a whole horde of children came and started pounding on the fucking log that I was nestled against.
Out of everything out there.
Yeah, out of all the logs that they could have gone to. So, you know, stuff happens. Well, what am I to say? Well, the lady actually asked if they were bothering me, and I went, well, yeah. They're fucking shredding the log that I'm leaning against. And
Little
of course,
beavers.
in modern day here, it's not for me to say anything to them. I'm not allowed to say nothing to them, which is an odd thing. 'Cause they don't then have a lot of respect for other adults that way, which is probably not a good thing. But at any rate, of course, the mother did come over and shooed them away. Saw the logic of my complaint. And that's all there was to it. No, I didn't
There we
get
go.
fucking angry. Why would I get angry? Like, you can't go
Active
storm
communication.
over to her log and say, what the fuck kind of mother am I?" Really? So no one does that. It's fucking live and let live here. So, except for the Parks Board. They want to have rules. Because rules mean money. If you don't have rules, you don't get any money. What are you doing? If you don't have a bunch of rules, what the fuck do you need the Parks Board for? Don't you just really need people to keep it clean?
Basically.
We can amp that up a little bit, keep it cleaner, and get rid of the Parks Board. The fuck do we need you people for?
We basically need just like more recycling bins that are organized and garbage cans available everywhere on every single corner of the streets, because I'm out there, it's like, where the fuck are the garbage cans, really? And it's like a block or two away. But why not on every fucking corner where it's just like, oh, there's the garbage can, rather than like people usually just
Yeah.
toss it on the
Where
ground.
people are, actually. Oh,
Yeah.
no. Don't put them where people go. Right. So, no. Wonder what the salary of the head of the Parks Board is. What do you think? What do you think the head of the Parks Board thinks? You can hear Anil figuring this out.
Yeah.
You can hear it. He thinks $100,000.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's got to be some sort of, I don't know. Is it a full-time job or is this just fucking a party?
Park sport is usually part-time. And
Are they ever at the park?
But at any rate, like, what are we paying these people for? What do they actually do? Except have a whole fucking bunch of rules that, I guess. What are the rules? Do they have a lot of rules?
Well, they should come and like maybe monitor the park and just be like, oh, what are the people's needs for the park to be better? Think of that. Like, how can we make this place better? They're not even looking at the park. They're fucking in there. Who knows? They're never saying when they're at the park, hey, I'm like Parksborg, other than when they're like, oh, you're breaking the law. They're not seeing how much fun people are having and the change that's happening.
Well, it's because they take that point of least resistance and what? Forget what they were saying? Then they forget what they were saying. Like I did.
Parks board.
Parks board.
I'm bored with
I don't
it.
know. What kind of rules do they have? What do they do? What the fuck does the Parks Board do other than yip about 420 at this time of year? Do you hear them doing anything about anything else all year long? What the fuck do they do? Except ban stuff. And clean it up, I guess, is their job. Now they got a little police force rides around on fucking motorized
4x4s.
4x4s.
Like quads.
Well, I was down there, and we had this little fucking cove, sandy cove, behind bushes and logs and shit. And, you know, there was only 8 people. The little guy's on his fucking motorized thing, right? All of a sudden, there's a cop fucking walks right out into the middle of it all. And I don't know what the fuck he was doing, but he looked around and virtually everyone, people drinking beer, fucking everything was being done. And he did nothing. Turned and left, got on his thing and drove off. I thought, what the fuck is going on here? What do we need these people for?
Right? They're actually like, last time I was at the Kids Beach, they ganged up on some kids. They're like in a little circle. Think they're passing around a Mickey or something. But out of everyone on the beach that was probably drinking, they seen that these kids were, like at least 3 of these quads showed up. And they're just like scaring the shit out of these kids, you know? And it's like, really? You're going to bully them right now?
Well,
rather than
fine line, isn't it? Bullying and see, me as a citizen, I could not and am not allowed to go over to those kids and treat them that way in front of everyone. No one would allow you to do that. But police officers? What the fuck do you know about anything? Except the law. You know these kids are breaking the law. So do your fucking job. Shut up. I don't want to hear your opinion. I don't want to hear it from the cashier at Safeway. What's the difference? I'm not an expert in any of this shit. And all you really need to do is take the booze away from the kids, tell them to get the fuck out of there, go home. Or call your parents. Right?
I think the cashier should do that on the street too.
That's what the cashier says to me. Get out, or I'll call your parents. But in reality, like really, come on. You just take advantage of the scenario to be that way. And there's not that much mayhem going on, for God's sakes, that we need all of this supervision and all these rules you can't, don't know. How about You're not allowed to pollute our water. How about that rule?
Right.
Who gets to make that one?
Right. That's part of the park right there.
Well,
Parks Board.
yeah. Parks Board. The fucking swill that's out in the water makes it so you can't swim. It's not healthy to now. What Parks Board are you doing?
Right. Parks Board.
Oh, you don't have a resolution about that. Can't smoke in the park for one day, but you allow pollution to lap up onto the fucking beach while we do it.
All those tankers can just drop off their shit. There's no regulation that they can't. So,
Not Parks Board's responsibility, apparently. Is it? Must be. What the fuck? How far do you wade out in your Parks Board pants before it's not your jurisdiction anymore?
right?
Right?
Should be
Huh. What?
against the pipelines coming through rather than ignoring the fact that they're trying to come through. We shouldn't be having that shit.
So, yeah.
So if I can get growing,
How come people don't ask them about that? I don't hear anybody asking about that. It's a shame. Vancouver's waterfront is a fucking waste.
fucking eyesore. You just
And
see a bunch of ships.
Full of waste. Like really, I've traveled around in a lot of places, and generally the beaches that they have are kept pretty nice.
Man. Yeah, I just remembered something funny. I was at the beach, sunset, having lunch with a friend, seen this couple swimming. Guy gets under, and there's like stuff on the top of the water, dives underneath it, and he just like gets up. He's like, yeah, you just gotta dive under the shit. No lie, like that was the line. It was pretty gross. Dive under the shit.
She said, "Don't touch me."
No, she went for it. She just dove under it. It was just
Really?
like, you guys are in the water right now. Ew. That is actually foamy looking shit.
So that's a shame. That, well, marijuana's probably good for the water down there too that day. Some of that smoke will go that way and go into the water, and it'll make the water better
Right?
to that degree. But they, of course, closed the aquatic center. We have to close the aquatic center that day, you know. It's a Saturday. Jesus died on this weekend. It's Easter weekend, too. Jesus died for us to be able to swim at the aquatic center, and we can't have it on a Saturday. So, don't close it. Like really? Does it interfere with the smell of chlorine and other humans?
Yeah, it's like these humans
this
are fucking
enclosed
bathing
aquatic
in
center?
chlorine. That's probably not good for us.
Oh no, it's way safer than the aquatic center. And it's probably a good thing that you do close to give those people a break for one day of not being there. I'll bet it's way less healthy than being down on Sunset Beach. But they don't know because they don't ask. So,
Yeah, just join us. Come and have a joint. Smoke with us.
in your endeavors out there to promote cannabis, they just ask us. I'll tell you.
This is like the best place to ask all the people, how can I make the parks better? Committee,
Well, let
like
people
Parks
be
Committee,
people,
come
for
on
God's
out.
I don't know.
They
The
don't
city
give
of
shit.
Sydney in Australia has 27 beaches within the city. 27. And they're all beautiful, swimmable, fucking wonderful. People use them all the time, have wonderful beach time, both in the water and on the beach. And they somehow keep it clean. I was in San Sebastian in northern Spain. They had the most spectacular beach right downtown I've ever seen. Like, wow. The water was crystal clear. And they've been there for like way, way longer than us here. Come on.
Right? And that's same with like anywhere in Canada and like the lakes and the
Holy
rivers and
cow.
everything. Crystal clear. And we got to fucking protect that shit because it's all coming downstream, you know? And what are we going to drink if something goes wrong upstream? That's where industry's trying to come through with the fucking pipelines or, I don't know, mining, lumber, a lot of bullshit,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, yeah.
Fisheries.
It's just about the money. Gotta make the money.
Let's
Yeah.
Gonna have
But-
to do something,
On and on it goes.
right?
Well, let's get out of here. Thanks for eating your bong. Evidence is gone.
Yeah, I got,
And
like, a
one
little bit of
corner of the
croissant
croissant is left. Vicky is a wonder for being so inventive and always having fun with cannabis. This is
Or not.
we highly recommend you do.
Highly appreciate it.
That's kind of the worst thing that happens, even though you don't like the smell. Worst thing that happens is that we're laughing. Huh. You don't want that. Why are
Right.
you laughing?
Can't have people laugh.
And it's not like out of control laughing that would
Enjoyment.
annoy you. It's just that we're
seeing
happy.
the light of everything.
See those shoulders moving.
People who
Feels
smoke
good.
pot are happy. We're not really like falling down, laughing out of control that'll drive you nuts if you're anywhere near it. It's just that we're happy.
Seeing a brighter perspective
Yeah.
rather than just, I don't know, not. Which seems to be a lot of people out there in comparison to a lot of cannabis smokers. We're positive people.
Yes. Well, thanks a lot for tuning in. We're thrilled that you could be here with us today, both live and later on. You later oners. We'll be saying different things for those of you who have tuned in late. We didn't say the same things when we were live. So just keep that in mind, and maybe next week at 4:06 you'll be here.
It's true. Different people.
So, thanks a lot, Vicky. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks to Anil for
Have a good day, everyone.
hooking us up and keeping us always in bright focus. Bless us, one and all.
Whoa, twice.
Until next time.
Blessings.
Peace and pot.
Feeling great.
Right?
Feeling groovy. Loving being here. Thank you for having me.
Remember when Vicky's eyes were bulging out? Remember those days? Those were the days of cartoons. Eh? Against authority, always. The ranger was a doofus and always fell on his face with his rules that Yogi didn't like. What about Woody Woodpecker? If he was here today, he'd just tell you to fuck off. Yeah, fuck off. I've been programmed to say that. I'm not the Manchurian Candidate. You know, more Szechuan, I think. Is it too soon? Here's what she said. She pointed out that most medical marijuana users haven't used recreational pot and and require guidance when seeking medical marijuana. That's what she said. It's the same weed. Oh. Just a fancy way of saying, hey, I know a guy.
Right?
And until then, peace and pot.